Hi, my name is Lindsay Brooks, and this is my Universal Design for Learning lesson unit. Um, I wanted to do a unit because I have a few lessons that I worked on last year with my students, and I kind of wanted to revamp it a little bit, and everything just fit together very well, so I wanted to show that. To begin with my presentation, I wanted to start out with a few key points about UDL. And I have a video that I would show. For example, if I would be showing this PowerPoint to some colleagues. I would show this video. It is from the CAST website, and it gets into Universal Design for Learning and how it provides for relieving barriers for students who need their lessons to be tailored in order to meet their needs. And it could be students who are advanced learners or students who have many learning disabilities. So I have some key points as well. So it gives all students the opportunity to learn. It levels the playing field for all learners so that everyone can have the ability to achieve the same goal at the end. Um, Although they are using different methods to achieve that goal, they are able to achieve that goal. So it allows the lessons to be tailored to meet the needs of students with learning disabilities, um, for students, with 504s, IEPs, and so on. And students, it also allows lessons to meet the needs of students who need more of a challenge. Um, I know that we have issues oftentimes with forgetting students who are more advanced and think that they're okay on their own, but no, they do need to be more challenged, and we want to make sure that we can offer that to them. And it provides for a flexible way of reaching each student in the classroom. So in my lesson plans, I have um, basically my students reading the Diary of Anne Frank and Number the Stars. And through these activities, I would hope that they would be gaining a perspective um, about stereotypes and just what has happened in the past with the Holocaust. Um, Here I have modifications will appear in bold. I figured I would just add the modifications in my lesson plan, um, and I will talk about them as well. So, again, the purpose selections from this unit will be utilizing the novels of The Diary of a Young Girl by Anne Frank and Number the Stars by Lois Lowry. And maybe 4 weeks or so, the teacher will guide students through activities and attempt to teach them to be able to see ideas and aspects through other people's eyes. And I did part of this unit with my 8th graders last year. Um, so students, basically, they're going to be reading and analyzing through literature. They'll become familiar with the life and times of Anne Frank and Anne Marie, which is a fictional character, Anne Marie. And students will gain an understanding of the fact that people often like or dislike other people because of membership in or exclusion from particular social groups. We'll be doing activities associated with that. And students will understand that specific ideas have an impact on history, and students will write in response to literature. So basically, students are going to read both these novels, and they're going to discuss about different stereotypes, and they will also hopefully grow in empathy about what went on in these children's lives. Um, they will write diary entries. They will do some acting, whatever we can in order to do, whatever we can do in order to help them develop this greater perspective. Uh, so, again, tentative plans. Each novel will hopefully take about 2 weeks. Um, I can also put students in groups according to ability. A teacher can do that. Um, so this way, I know oftentimes I have students who like to read ahead, and it would be great to put them together and then maybe put them on their own little learning plan as well, so that, if they are up to completing an activity, they can do that, and it's kind of like their independent study. So that would be good and a great challenge for students who are more advanced. And then students who need the extra time, the teacher can kind of set some goals down for each group. What kind of the amount of reading they need to do each evening, what they need to tackle by a certain date, and so on, and be able to make lessons that are accommodating to their needs. So basically, we'll be interpreting a poem from I Never Saw Another Butterfly. Really great piece, or really great book full of poems and artwork that were taken from the children during the Holocaust from concentration camps. So really great primary sources. Students will be evaluating a video clip, and they'll be identifying stereotypes and feelings of superiority through discussions. So basically, I'm going to introduce the Diary of Anne Frank. I also will connect this with September 11th, being that I want to connect it to more recent activities. Maybe students might remember September 11th, although sometimes, unfortunately, I've had discussions with students and they've been young babies during September 11th, and they don't remember very much from that. So it's kind of good to make these connections so that they can learn about recent events. But really, I want to make connections with how we have issues with people of certain religious beliefs as well, um, and not treating them as equally as we should be. So basically, I'd be starting this lesson with playing a scene from X-Men, actually the opening scene from X-Men, the video from 2000. Um, and it's actually really neat because it goes into a concentration camp during the Holocaust, and how Magneto was separated from his family. And really lots of terrible, terrifying scenes, screaming, um, noises, and everything. Very, very devastating scene. And it'll really capture the minds of students, not only because it's from X-Men, but because it also relates to the Holocaust, and it is a tragic scene, an event in itself. So this hopefully will influence and grasp the minds of our students, and maybe for modification with students who might have an issue seeing the video, because we do have students with learning visual impairment. They can listen again to what they hear, because again, there's lots of different music and noises that can capture their mind. And then we can have a discussion. Another way to capture my students would be to select a poem from I Never Saw Another Butterfly. And I can show them some illustrations. And I mean, it's pretty creepy kind of seeing these little drawings from these kids from the concentration camps who are mostly no longer surviving, and what, it really fills the students up with thoughts of what could have happened to them. Um, what did they see, and so on. So it helps them to, really get into that, put these students into these people's shoes. And then I want to relate this again with 9/11, and talk about how, we don't really, especially after 9/11, haven't we've had some extra stereotypes about people of Middle Eastern descent, and how we can relate that to how the Nazis reacted to the Jews and how they had their stereotypes, and how we don't want to repeat that. And then I also want to relate that to more common things that might occur in school, with social groups, geeks, punks, people with tattoos, that kind of thing, so that we can kind of understand that, hey, everyone's different, but we don't need to treat them differently. We need to treat them equally. So some modifications. Not everyone participates in a discussion. Unfortunately, we can maybe have students write in a journal, or we can have more questions posted online for students to respond to at home, or even at school if they wanted to start that at school. This way, everyone has a chance to write their response. Everyone has a chance to see or read each other's responses as well, and get a better perspective of what everyone thinks, and to really get some writing skills developed, and critical thinking, where students can think about certain ideas. And going on, our second plan, so students will rewrite a diary entry from the Diary of Anne Frank, from another character's point of view. So again, it kind of gets them into thinking from different points of views and different perspectives. So I would open up with some questions, and as a modification, I can have students come up in a group with questions about what they think other characters think or feel and discuss. So not just a teacher coming up with questions, but students doing that. So offering more of a challenge, especially to students who are more advanced in their thinking and their skills and whatnot and development. And also for students who have an issue with understanding how others feel or think, they can act out certain situations or scenes in order for them to fully comprehend what could be occurring. And then they'll be eventually drafting their scenes or diary entries. They can use readwritethink.org to help them out. That's not written here, but that would be a great thing to help them form an outline, especially if they have handwriting issues. Or students, again, can continue to practice and work on acting out a part of an entry. They can even make a dialogue or something that could help them to figure out how another character feels about a certain character in a novel. So it gets them a better picture. And then closing this lesson by more discussion. Again, we can end with discussing on Edmodo. We can have them have formed Socratic questions. A teacher can close with Socratic questions. Um, Students can see other people's plays if they would like, something that would meet each student's need. And again, we would also close with just going over different stereotypes and why it's important to relate things we read to our lives and make connections. And again, we can continue discussion using Edmodo or Blogger. So getting into Number the Stars, we would continue to be able to distinguish, determine people's actions and perspectives, and identify with Anne Marie and her family's concerns of resistance with or against the Nazis. And then again, we're going to start out with a Q&A session about students trying to become more empathetic. We would ask students to discuss what it would be like going through World War II as someone who was not directly persecuted, but who did not support the Nazis, someone who helped another Jewish person. So they would go through that. And teacher can document answers on the board. The teachers can be separated into groups and they can document answers and then go through a big discussion. Or students can come up with their own questions and answer them as well in their groups and do kind of like a graffiti wall where they'll put their questions and answers on chalkboards or whiteboards in different parts of the room and then come together and discuss at the end. And then I would break students up into groups, ideally by the opposite of how they stand, and getting into the resistance movement. Would you help the Jewish people out, or would you not help the Jewish people out? And I would have students research why they would stand for the resistance movement or be against it. And this would help them develop some more empathy, even if they don't stand for it. And we needed another person to not stand for it in our debate. I would have them research and kind of give them a better understanding of what's going on. So students can research with guided websites, the teacher supplies. Students can use readwritethink.org to help with their note taking. This is a really great generator that will format their notes in a certain way, and they can save and print them in hard copy fashion. Also, using Persuasion Map, again, readwritethink.org, really great resource where they can be guided to develop points to create a debate, because this is all leading into a debate. So this will help students in the thinking process. And again, if you chose to do literature groups, having them separated by their ability, in a sense, would help the teacher to be able to work with certain groups and help them to establish what they need to do and what research they need, and give them the steps that they need. And then going through the debate, and towards the end of the debate, we would end our debate with final statements. So we would be going through, we can either debate actually in class, or students can also debate at home. They can actually go through a PowerPoint they've made using the notes that they've created or notes that they've taken, and use screencast-o-matic.com or jing.com to record their debates and then show that in class, because this might be better for students with anxiety who might need more time to prepare an argument, and so on. And again, whatever works for the student. And then overall, I would have students write an essay. Students can either decide to write an essay using the computer, or handwritten. Students can design a dialogue script instead of writing a story. Okay, so they would have to write their story